everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are really excited today talking with another Hallmark writer. We love talking with the writers. I am film critic Rachel Wagner. Jax is here.
I beg to be here, so thanks for having me.
Yes. And today we're talking with writer Anna White. Anna, thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah. So we were talking off air that we actually, the last time we talked with you was the Christmas season, 2019. Can you believe it?
That was crazy. And that was like, that was like my second year, I think, of writing these movies.
Or no, it was July. Sorry, July 2018. It was right. I think it was right after Sister of the Bride.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was like, that was a flurry. I had so many all at once.
Yeah. I mean, it's just weird because like we keep in touch, and you came on our patron watch along last year, which is really fun. If people want to check it out, our patron group every month, we have a talent that comes on and we do a watch along or Q&A, and it's a really special thing that you can do, and any level of the Patreon gets to take part in it. This month we have Tracy Andreen coming on, writer extraordinaire as well, that we are watching her film Once Upon a Prince, and so it's a lot of fun, but we've got a lot of catching up to do since 2019.
Seriously, yeah. And then the big plug is Campfire Christmas.
Yeah.
Coming July 16th. I'll just keep tapping it in.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone noticed, but I'm wearing this is Camp Evergreen. This is the camp swag from the movie.
I love it.
The producer sent me it after they wrapped. It says established 1930, which you'll hear about in the movie.
Yes, I'm so excited about that.
Excited.
Look on the back.
I always wanted summer camp swag because I never did a sleepaway camp. Did you ever?
I did it 2 summers. One summer I came back with the stomach flu, and that's pretty much all I remember.
We had camp with church. We had girls camp, and it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't great. I didn't love it. I don't like sleeping on the ground, even to this day.
You didn't even get bunks?
No, it was like tents. It was terrible.
Oh, that's not fun camp.
Right.
This movie is all about fun camp. They stay in bunks and cabins. It's great.
They're not sleeping on the floor in Campfire Christmas.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No, Corbin Blue and Tori Anderson are not sleeping on the floor.
Well, before we dive into that, I want to find out. So how was quarantine for you? What was that like?
Oh man, gosh.
I know, going back.
Really going back. It was okay. I live by myself and I hate cooking. So I tried to cook more, and it just made me hate it more. I luckily had 2 Christmas movies in 2020, so that kept me busy. I had a lot of like writing to do. They figured out a way. The one on Hallmark was The Christmas Ring. That was interesting. And then I did one for Lifetime that year, Christmas edition. And a lot of the discussion in the notes always ended up being, can we have less crowd scenes? And you made a 90-year-old person. Let's make them 60 and have it be a video chat call because COVID. So it was really interesting. Everyone and their mother sent me that tweet. I don't know if you remember that tweet that went viral that were like, Hallmark needs to do a COVID Christmas where 2 people end up in the same Zoom room by accident. They fall in love. Like everyone was sending me that. And I was like, look, the last thing I want to write about is COVID. And I see Hallmark as escapism. And so why would we ever acknowledge the pandemic in any of these movies? That would be so depressing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It is funny when people send you those kind of things, like the whole tweet with the guy who's like, I don't want my girl to go back to the country. And
yes, yeah.
I'm like, I must have gotten that 50 times at
Me
least.
Me too. Oh my God. It's, but all that tells you is, these are mainstream, and even people who say they don't watch.
Right. Yeah. So you had been alternating between Christmas movies and killer cheer mom movies. And so I'm wondering how did that happen?
Well, the two things I didn't participate growing up were Christmas and cheerleading. So of course that's all I get to write about. No, I just, it's funny. It's so one of the production companies that does a lot of the Christmas movies also usually does it, some of the Lifetime thrillers. And they asked me a few years ago, they're like, do you want to take a stab at one of them? And Bring It On is like one of my all-time favorites. So I was like, yes. So it just kind of happened. It's funny. This is the first year I actually don't have a cheer movie. Kind of feels weird, but go back. You guys can watch Cheer. Let's see, The Secret Lives of Cheerleaders, Cheer Camp Killer, which should have been like a slasher. I didn't want it. No one dies in it, so I hate that they call it Cheer Camp Killer. It should be called, it was like Cheer Camp Obsession or Cheer Camp Secrets. Like it should be that. And then Lifetime changed it. And so if the tweets of that night were like, wait, no one's getting murdered. I'm like, I get it. I would be mad if I was promised Cheer Camp Killer and no one died. That's like watching Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
Friday the 13th with Freddy. No, Freddy's in Nightmare on Elm Street. Never mind. Sorry. I hopefully no horror fans are watching. And then Cheer Mom Killer. I was like, if we're calling it Cheer Mom Killer or Killer Cheer Mom.
Killer Cheer Mom.
Sorry.
That one I actually watched because Randy Carter directed it, and he did the Good Witch podcast with us. So I saw you had drinks or a meal with him the other day. They were here doing a Lifetime movie, him and Peter Sullivan. And we had lunch. So that was nice. I've done a lot of movies with those two. Yeah. They're nice. They're good people. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah. Killer Cheer Mom. Thank you. Well, I was like, I hope she kills someone. And they're like, and then I was like, well, at least let's have her have killed someone in her past. Right. So at least we got to work that in. Yeah. We gotta love like a campy thriller with Denise Richards. Oh yeah. She's great. Come on. Oh my God. Yeah. And because she was in Secret Lives of Cheerleaders. And so when I went to set one day, she's like, oh my God, hi, how are you? And like, I think she actually remembered me. And I was like, that's really sweet of her. Like, so shout out to Denise.
She listens to the pod.
It's her favorite podcast.
Do you ever watch any of these thrillers, Jax?
I'm sorry. I haven't. No, I did a couple of the reenactment shows on Lifetime right when I moved to New York. So I watched those, but I haven't actually seen any of the thrillers, but I need to get on it. I'm afraid. I get afraid of scary things.
She's never even seen Scream.
Oh no.
Or any of the Friday the 13th, Freddy the Elm Street. I believed everything you were saying because
it's Jason who's Friday the 13th, right?
Jason.
Yeah. Okay. And then Freddy's Elm Street.
I just started watching some more horror. I'm very, very, very slowly dipping my toes into that world because I just feel like as a film critic, I need to be open to all genres.
Those are my two favorite is rom-com and horror.
What's that?
Rom-com and horror are my two favorite. They're like opposite ends. So I'm glad you're getting into both. Yeah, I watched the original Halloween. Oh, so that was pretty good. I like that. I watched Scream. Yes, and then this October for my blind spot, I'm watching the first Nightmare on Elm Street. So that's gonna be good. But do you watch Stranger Things? Yeah. Because Stranger Things, like every season is basically like an homage to different 80s movies. And this season 4 is like basically an homage to all the horror movies. And it's so good. I heard it's really good. I haven't had time, but I heard it's really good.
Hey, this is David from the Piecing It Together podcast, a podcast about movies and the movies that inspire them. For over 4 years, each week, a guest and I take a look at a new movie through the lens of what other movies we think were either an influence or connect in some other way. It's a fun, unique way to discuss films that leads to a great list of other movies to check out that either explore the same themes and ideas or maybe utilize similar filmmaking techniques. Including special episodes in our side series that twist the format, we've done over 200 episodes, so there's bound to be one on a film you've been thinking about and want to dig deeper into. So check us out on all the major podcasting apps and at piecingpod.com.
Well, you had the Christmas Ring, as you said, and I was curious because that year there were so many movies where it was a person finds some kind of thing, whether it's a letter or a photo or ring or a bracelet or something like that. And then they like go on a journey trying to find the owner or whatever. And I was just curious, were you led at all in that direction? Did they ask you to write this, or was it just sort of random that happened?
No, that one actually was an original pitch that I came up with years ago that I finally got this company that no longer kind of dispersed, but this production company liked it, bought it, and we pitched it to Hallmark like 2 years earlier. So I don't want to be like I was on the bandwagon, but I think it was just like one of those coincidences, like when Armageddon and Deep Impact came out around this time. Right. It was just like that was, or like, was it Ants and Bugs Life? Like sometimes it just happens. Mm-hmm. There's a collective consciousness and people are like, let's do ones where people find things and discover their journey.
Yeah.
So I think, it was just coincidence.
Yeah. Did you notice that, Jax?
Yeah. I mean, that was the year that we were really like, that was real. I mean, I don't now, if Anna White has a movie, I'm watching it. Other than that, I am very selective about what I watch on Hallmark, but that was when we were covering all of them. And there were a lot of those plots that year. Obviously, the Christmas Ring is my favorite.
Yeah, the Christmas Ring was good. Some of the others were a little dry. I'm not gonna lie.
There were some rough ones, Rachel.
Yeah. It's like I just don't care about this thing. But with this one, I mean, you must have been excited to have David Alpay.
Oh yeah, and he was actually the last minute.
Oh really?
Yeah, the without naming names or giving too much insider, the original person cast actually broke some COVID protocols, and so they had to switch them last minute. I'm always so worried I'm going to say something that gets forever fired from Hallmark.
That's okay. Nobody listens to this podcast, so don't worry about that. But yeah, I mean, to have Nazneen and David Alpay, Casey Manderson, had a great cast.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that one was, I didn't obviously get to go to set at all for that one because of COVID, but they neither did the producers, so they streamed while they were shooting it. So I got to basically watch set all day on my computer.
Oh my gosh.
So they Video Village was basically broadcast to me and the producer, which was really cool.
So you got to see the dailies, basically?
Yeah, basically I got to see the dailies live, which was good because there's a few times I was like, in the background there's a bikini shop and there's a huge picture of a woman in a bikini, and I don't know if that's A, Christmas, and B, Hallmark, and no one else caught it, and they're like, oh shoot, and so they had to cover it. That was my contribution to watching.
Where was it shot?
In Canada.
That was in Vancouver.
I don't know if it was.
They have a bikini shop in Vancouver. That's funny.
I mean, everyone, they sell them everywhere, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, you also did the Christmas edition for Lifetime that year.
Yes.
And you got to have Marie Osmond in that one. Did you know you were writing for Marie Osmond?
See, did I know it at the time? I don't think so. I think that was after. I didn't know any of that was another one where a few of the leads actually switched out last minute because of COVID stuff. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Does that happen a lot?
It happened a lot in 2020. I don't think it happens a lot anymore. Because I think now people know more and how to deal with it, and it doesn't last as long, and people aren't. I don't know. COVID is so tricky now with these movies. No, but Maria Osmond Peter Sullivan directed that one, and he's directed her in other ones before. So I think he was like, oh, because whenever like you have the character of like the boss, it's usually like 2 or 3 day shoot for that person, so they can like stunt cast a good name. So I think he might have had her in mind the whole time.
Well, she had been in a previous one with Rob Mays
that I wrote, I think. Wait.
Oh, you did?
I don't remember.
You're just taking credits for ones that you haven't written. You're like, that was me too, also.
But she
no,
basically,
you're right. I didn't write that one. I didn't know that was the road trip one with Marcia.
Yeah. And
I
she basically played herself in that one. I forget what it was called.
So I didn't write that one, but Peter directed both of those. So Peter's the connection between the two, and he brought Marie Osmond.
Okay. The Road Home for Christmas is what it was called.
Yeah, I did not write that one.
Writer Cassie Doyle, full credit.
Yes.
But yeah, she played herself basically in that one, but in the Christmas edition, she was this like crazy boss, which must have been fun to write.
Yeah, she was like a corporate, like a Hearst. That was like back in the day, but a conglomerate, a news media conglomerate boss. Sorry.
Yeah. Like a real diva.
Yeah. Always fun to write those.
All right. Well, this last year, you had A Picture Perfect Holiday.
Yeah.
Also on Lifetime.
Yeah.
And this one was fun. I have to admit, Lifetime had a bit of a rough season last year.
You know, it's funny as I didn't watch that many of the other ones, but I know their ratings weren't as good, I think.
Yeah, their plan to do a movie every day did not work.
That's the problem. You can't oversaturate, and it takes away, it makes things less special. Like, so Christmas isn't every day because then we wouldn't have Christmas, right?
Even we couldn't cover them all. Like, and we usually do. We covered almost all of them, but not all of them. But I enjoyed this one. I thought this one was good. It's kind of that whole idea of the two people stuck in the same environment.
Yeah. That one was fun because basically Peter came to me and he was like, it's two people who rent the same Airbnb.
Yeah.
Come up with the rest of the story. And we kind of talked about it, and I realized like we've never seen a Christmas photography retreat. Don't know if they exist, but I know we've never seen one. So that kind of came to be. So I learned a lot about photography in my Google research, and then I was able to do a whole B storyline with lesbians who want to get engaged on this retreat. So
that was cute.
Yeah, that was really fun, and that was and the way they decorated the bridge, where they did the proposal is so pretty, and I got to be there. I got to be on that shoot the whole time because I was shadowing Peter, learning how to direct.
Oh, that's fun. Is that something you're going to dive into?
I hope so. I definitely want to. I think it's a like a power control thing, because it's so hard sometimes when you write these scripts to then just hand them off and be like, okay, here, now it's your child. I guess I'll just be over here in the corner, even though I've lived with this for months and I know exactly what it should be. But I know like collaboration is
you with ultimate power though. I think you'll use it responsibly.
Exactly. Like and one of the things one of the cool things I think being on set was watching how hard the crew works and how collaborative it is. And that's what I'm really excited about, because I'm not a dictator by any means, but it was really interesting. Like, they'll ask you a question and the director has to know the answer like this, and they have to trust them. But then you have to also listen and be like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that instead. And like, I don't know. I learned a lot and took a lot of notes. I filled a whole notebook with notes. And then I got to direct some of the establishing shots that were in the movie for like 3 seconds.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because I would be nervous about, am I getting the right like shots? Am I doing like, there's so many things you have to know to be a director.
Yeah, no, I don't. I still have a lot to learn. So this is this is my book from Ken Kwapis wrote this. It says, but what I really want to do is direct. Good book.
That's cool.
Anna, can we ask you about Christmas CEO? Because I feel like you have a fun story from that.
Oh, yes. So Christmas CEO, man, that was in first of all, that was in development for a long time, because that was like a joint effort with Muse and Build-A-Bear, and it was too many cooks in the kitchen and whatever. And so like a few weeks before production, we kind of changed the entire story, whatever. And then before I get to the good part, I just want to say something that like was on Twitter that night, and people were like, why would this character leave a successful job to go start a new company just for the guy? And people were really upset about that. And I totally understand. What I just want to say is in the script, it is kind of an evil company that uses terrible plastic, that has lead paint, that does all this terrible thing because it cares more about the profit, that their toys break right away. And I had to last minute take all that out because Build-A-Bear is like, we can't have a large company looking bad. Okay. So I just want to say that because everyone's like, wow, I can't believe she left a successful career for a guy. Oh God, what a terrible message. And I just like, I was reading that on Twitter. It's like, I know. And then, so anyways, I'm glad I could set the record straight here.
That's good.
Yeah, so it's so funny. So so that was with Muse Canada, who I love. Jesse and Oneida are the producers there, and they're the ones who did Campfire Christmas too. They're amazing, and I love them. None of that was their fault. They helped me figure out how to deal with Build-A-Bear. But anyways, yeah, Oneida calls me. She's like, so we got Paul Green, and I was like, what? And she's like, oh, you know who he is? And let me tell you, Rachel, I know who Paul Green is because in 10th, okay, so when I was growing up, I collected LL Bean catalogs. I don't know why, I loved the pictures. I loved that they were always on a dock in flannel with a golden retriever, and everything looked right and perfect. And Maine, to this day, I've never been there, but in my mind, it's paradise, and I hope to one day have a little cabin in Maine. Anyway, so Paul Green, before his acting career, was a print model, and I thought he had a great shaped face. I loved everything about his bone structure, and I had all these catalogs. So anyway, so in 10th grade, we had to do this art project, like a Christmas card, print ink thing, and I was like, well, I'm going to use a picture from an LL Bean catalog, and I used one it was Paul Green petting a dog in the trees. And so I used it and I made a whole ink print, whatever. But when you stare at a picture so long, it really comes in, like it burns in your brain. So then a few years later, I think I was in college, and all of a sudden I saw him on a toothpaste commercial, and I was like, oh my God, that's the LL Bean guy. And then like a few years after that, I was like, he was on like that show Bitten in Canada. I was like, oh my God, the LL Bean guy's having this great career. And then he took off in Hallmark, and I was like, you know what? We both knew. Yeah. That LL Bean is just like yeah. a gateway drug to that. So it was
that's
really
so funny because we were just covering Sex and the City, and they mentioned when they were talking in one episode, they were talking about like the ultimate studly guys, and they mentioned LL Bean models.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, there was this great blog for years called My LL Bean Boyfriend or something. I don't know who, but this person who would take an LL Bean picture of a model and then write like just like a description of like, Jack asked if I wanted to go down to the lake today. He packed a perfect picnic. And like, it was just these pictures with these little captions of like the perfect boyfriend. And,
right.
And it was really funny. Anyway, so when I found out Paul Green, I was really excited. I told Oneida and Jesse, the producers, the story. They of course passed it on to Paul, and they gave me a signed LL Bean hat, and he says like, may all your Christmases be white. And then I got to go on his podcast for a little bit later. And yeah, so I was like, that's just a random funny, you never know. If anyone collects magazines anymore, you might be working with that person 10, 15 years from now.
Yeah, it's true. Don't burn any bridges.
Don't burn it.
I feel like Paul Green is like the perfect person for that to happen with, because I'm sure he's so genuinely flattered and touched. And about it.
It's funny because I was like, he told me his cat's name is Kismet. So of course, I mean, it's the perfect person for that to happen to. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No,
so when we did the watch along, you told us this before it had even been announced. You told us about Butlers in Love. And we were so excited, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very cute. That just must have been a fun project. You got that idea?
They actually, so that's another one where they give me like a few sentences and they're like, go write this. But it was a completely different premise, which I actually think, again, as long as Hallmark people don't watch this, the original premise worked a lot better. Rachel, you can tell me what you think. So the original thing it's more of like an undercover boss story. And it's like an heiress is sent to Butler school to learn to appreciate the hard work.
Oh, okay.
Right. And I think that makes more sense. And the executive on the project left to go to another network, and it got shifted around. And the new executive who did it was like, no, let's have her just be an aspiring butler. And I was like, I don't know if that's relatable. Like, luckily,
I enjoyed the movie, though. What I was fine with her wanting to be a butler. The part that was a little bit less believable to me was that his parents would be devastated that he didn't pursue a career as a butler in 2022. I mean, it seems a little ridiculous to me.
But their family's been doing it for hundreds of years.
Yeah, but I don't know. That was the part that was a little tougher for me to buy.
That's funny. That part I had no problem.
Like, come on, these parents, they really gonna care that their son isn't becoming a butler? Come on.
Family business. It's like you know, the kid not being a lawyer, the kid not being, but it's, I mean, the good thing is butlering does make like 6 or 7 figures if you're in the right place. So it is an aspirational career, but not to the common person. So a lot of tweets that night were like, who would want to be a butler?
Yeah. Well, and some people had issues with the ending. I didn't have a problem with it. I was fine with it because I think it's okay to have like a new dream. Well, and you get there and then she realizes, oh, this is not what I really want. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
It was a lot more in the script, and it got really trimmed down, so it's really confusing. But there's a thing called hotel butler. So basically she becomes a hotel butler, which means she still gets to use all her butling, but she's closer to home and she gets to work with the guy she loves. And it doesn't take up her entire life. And I feel like the director, this is what I want to direct. They trim and they edit things, and then when you see the movie, people are like confused or get the wrong idea. They're like, wait, where is she working? What is that? And like, because there's scenes earlier where they go to the hotel and they take a tour and they learn about hotel butling, and that got snip snap.
Oh yeah.
So that was so I totally understand people's problem because the ending was really confusing. But she doesn't give up butlering. She gives up butlering that takes up her entire life. And,
yeah.
Do you feel like, Anna, that it's a stressful thing being a writer because things that you have nothing to do with, but people attribute that to being your choice or your decision?
Yes. It's hard. I think that's the driving force of why I want to direct what I write. And it's so funny because all these producers are like, oh, no, you should first direct something you didn't write. And I was like, but I don't have an interest in that. I want to direct, I want to live with an idea from the beginning to the end. That's what excites me. That's what I find fascinating. And I think they're worried that I'm going to be like married to every word of the script or whatever. And that was something that was really helpful shadowing a director, is learning like, I don't know if anyone knows this, but these aren't my like, this isn't my swan song opus. I'm not hoping to win an Oscar with these movies. I don't mind if we change or trim, but as a writer, I'll know, hey, if we trim this part won't make sense. So let's just add a line here. And then like that I think is really helpful to have a writer direct, because they know if you cut something, which you have to, because these things always go long and whatever, then you know what to cut and what not to. And anyways, I feel like I'm on a soapbox, because I've had this conversation with a lot of producers who are like, I don't know if we want you to direct your first movie that you write.
When you see the dailies and you see like, oh my gosh, they're doing something different. Like, can you say to them, like, I really don't think
so
that this is a good choice? Or
it really depends on the producer and the director. And some no. I will say this one, Camp Evergreen. I'm sorry, it's called Campfire Christmas.
Yeah.
Takes place at Camp Evergreen. David, the director, was so sweet, and I got to go to set for a few days, and he was so collaborative, and that made me feel so good. And like, there's it's tricky because there's flashbacks to when so it takes place, in present day. It's a reunion, so you kind of see the kids when they were 16 at the camp, and it wasn't matching performances as the adults. And like, I told David and I gave him some suggestions, and he was so open to it, which was really cool. So that I felt, and that one, the producer's like, oh my God, if you see anything, tell me. So it really just depends on the producer and the director.
We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Yeah. That's
well, speaking of Campfire Christmas, let's talk about it. So This is so exciting. Not only is this a Christmas in July film, and they're having 3 this year, which is unheard of, but this is like literally a Christmas in July movie.
Yes, and that's what. Oh my God, I wish they would market this. This is the first ever Hallmark Christmas in July movie that takes place in July, about Christmas in July. So the other 2 movies premiering are December Christmas movies.
Right,
okay?
right.
I didn't write those. I wrote the first ever Christmas in July movie. And I really hopefully as it gets closer, they'll promote that fact more, but so far they haven't. So
it seems like a missed opportunity to me.
Oh my God. And it makes me wish we called the movie Christmas in July, because then you really can't mistake it as a regular Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So so I spread the word. This is the first ever Christmas in July movie, and it's funny because this one, well, I can tell you a little bit how it came to be.
Yeah, please.
So Oneida, again, the producer at Muse Canada, was reading, I think, one of those magazines like Southern Comfort or something, about this camp that started the Christmas in July tradition. It's a real camp in North Carolina. And they celebrated Christmas with the campers in July. And she's like, this is a movie. There's a movie somewhere in it. And I was like, definitely. And so I came up with a pitch, and I was like, I think it should be more of an ensemble. I think it should be like a fun camp movie or whatever. And they're like, well, let's pitch it. I was like, this has to take place in the summer. And they're like, we agree, but let's pitch it in case we have to do it as a December Christmas movie. I was like, okay. And luckily, Jen Kramer, who I pitched it to, was like, oh yeah, this is a summer movie. This is a Christmas in July movie. So yeah, it was really fast. I pitched it in December. I had to write it in like January and February, and we just shot it in end of April. So this was one of the quickest ones ever. But yeah, and it's just exciting because finally a Christmas in July movie that takes place in Christmas in July. Just gonna keep saying that.
Yeah. So when did you start it again?
So I pitched it December. I started writing it in January, and then like February, and then tweaks in March, and then they shot it in April.
Well, how did you get the idea? Did they say we want a Christmas in July movie?
No. So they said, oh, let's do a movie based on this camp, the summer camp, because she read the article, Oneida, and then I was like, I came up with a pitch that could work for either summer or Christmas, and then then Hallmark agreed it's better as a summer movie.
That's cool. It was a very good idea. It's very smart.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Oneida at Muse Canada, because she was the one who found the article about this real summer camp that celebrates Christmas in July.
So it's about this Christmas camp.
Okay, so it's basically this Christmas that started in 1930. This summer camp, and every year they celebrate Christmas in July, and you'll find out why in the movie. And so it's about basically the camp's closing, and so they're doing one final Christmas in July reunion, and Tori Anderson, who's the lead, is the daughter of the owners of the camp, so it's her great grandma who started the camp. So and she of course has a group of tight-knit friends who she met at camp, and they've stayed in touch, but of course Corbin Bleu is her camp boyfriend from back in the day, and there was a terrible breakup, and she hasn't seen him in quite some time. So she's hoping he doesn't come, and he might be at the Christmas in July reunion. And then Jeffrey Boyer Chapman plays Beckett, who that was one of my favorite storylines, is his camp theater rival. They both have to put on the one last pageant together, and he finds out. Well, you'll see. I don't want to give anything away, but there might be a nice little B-story love story there.
Nice. Well, I'm excited because they did a movie, The Christmas Camp, which was also Christmas in July a couple of years ago, and it was terrible. And so we need redemption.
Wait, Rachel, what was that one? I think I didn't even like it.
It was so bad. It was basically like it wasn't even a camp. It was like, you get to come and walk our dogs for us. And like do chores around the camp. Like it was, this looks like it actually has some magic and some fun activities and things like that.
Oh, totally. Well, one of the coolest things was coming up with activities that were Christmas, but also summer camp.
Yeah.
You'll see them play Capture the Wreath. Okay. They have a snowball fight, and the snowballs are white water balloons.
Clever.
So it's like a lot of like, that was really fun, because it's like, how do you do Christmas in summer? That's
cool. That's good. Yeah. All right. Well, we're excited for it. We have our fun, silly questions. And since we have a Christmas in July movie coming up, we are going to give you the Christmas version, holiday version.
And I'll give you the Christmas in July answers.
Yes. All right.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
First question, what is your favorite holiday drink?
Well, let me do a plug for this Christmas July movie. They drink frozen eggnog in the movie.
Oh, clever.
I've never had it because I'm not a huge eggnog person, but they do have frozen eggnog. My favorite holiday drink, and if someone, I hope one day does an edit of all my movies, because hot chocolate is pretty much mentioned in almost all of them. And like some of them is like, so almost every other line is hot chocolate. And like, so that's probably definitely one. Gingerbread latte is coming up in another movie that I can't talk about yet, but that would probably also, as long as it's not too sugary. You don't want these drinks to be too sugary, but
yeah,
have you
can't
had
beat
the
it.
frozen hot chocolate Serendipity in New York? It's so good.
No, I haven't.
Anna, You and Rachel have to come at the same time, and I'll take you guys there. It's so good.
I want to go there. So Serendipity is one of my favorite movies too.
Oh, I love it's so good.
So good.
So magical. We have another one for you, Anna. Favorite holiday cookie or treat?
I don't know why this is so hard because I feel like I get treats too much. Like I feel like obviously in a Picture Perfect holiday they had donuts with red and green sprinkles, and that would, if that counts, because I just love donuts so much.
Mm-hmm.
Also another great moment to plug, Bouche du Noël is mentioned in Check Into Christmas, and they mispronounce it the entire movie. So just
really? That's funny.
Well,
if you've been directing, they wouldn't
exactly.
have.
She was like Bouche de Noël. I was like, it's Bouche de Noël. Yeah. So I guess that's, I don't know.
Donuts.
My mom donuts, and my mom does this Christmas exchange with neighbors and friends each year, and they always have really good Christmas cookies. So.
So, what is your favorite Christmas song or carol?
I mean, I don't want to go right into All I Want for Christmas, but that comes on and I'm like, yes. I also love, oh my God, the one I jam out to the most, and I have like a Christmas writing playlist, and I think the first one up is Underneath the Christmas Tree by Kelly Clarkson. So it's just like, I'm not gonna sing it because people tell me I'm tone deaf, but it just like, it gets me in the mood immediately. And then the Mean Girls Jingle Bell Rock scene, if you need to watch something.
Now, what about favorite Christmas movie? You could pick one of your own if you want, but you don't have to.
When I was a kid, it was probably Jingle All the Way. But my favorite Christmas, God, I should have like had this prepared. Why didn't I have this prepared? Because I feel like there's one that I'm missing.
Like It's a Wonderful Life, or
I mean, like
Christmas Carol, or
I'm gonna count, because it takes place over the course of a year and it covers all the holidays. I think it counts, but You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
You have a great Christmas chunk of the movie, and that's just one of my favorite rom-coms of all time.
Me too. It's one of my favorites. All right, which do you like better, Scrooge or the Grinch?
Scrooge. He's British.
Clear lights or colored lights?
Clear.
Classy.
Okay. Very good. Would you rather be in a snowball fight or build a snowman?
Well, speaking of Christmas in July, I think it'd be really fun to be in a summer snowball fight with water balloons. Just plug in the movie a little bit. But I like building snowmen. I think it's very I used to do ceramics, so that feels adjacent.
Well, if you used to do ceramics, I think I might know the answer to the next question, because you're good with your hands. So are you a good gift wrapper or not a good gift wrapper?
Oh, I'm actually, this is really weird, but I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to gift wrapping. So if it covers the gift, it's good enough for me.
Very good.
I try to get it done at the store.
All right, last question. What is your ugliest Christmas sweater? Or do you have an ugly Christmas sweater?
I have. Can I go get it?
Yeah.
Ooh, she has her props. What do we have?
This is my Central Perk.
Oh my gosh.
And this is my Beauty and the Beast.
That's
kind
great.
With the colors, but it has like blue hair. These are my two favorite.
Very good. Very good.
You're dipping into all sorts of fandoms there.
Oh my God. I'm a fan of so many things.
Well, you answered all the questions. You
Awesome.
got to keep making Christmas movies.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So where can people follow you on social media, all that fun stuff?
Yeah. Instagram at Anna S. White. Twitter, I think there's dots in between oh no, there might be dots in between on both. Because if you read it all at once, it's like Anna's White, but my middle, and that sounded weird. And I was like, no, my middle initial is S. It's not, anyways, sometimes it's hard when you're on the phone with those like people who are filling out your information and you spell out the email and I'll be like ANNA without saying my email. And they're like, oh, your email is Anna's White. And I'm like, no, Anna S. White. Anyway, so I think it's Anna.S.White on Instagram. Anna
S. All in the description, so I'll check that out.
Are you gonna live tweet the movie Campfire Christmas?
Yes, I definitely am. I'm gonna try to do East Coast, I guess. I feel like that's when the most people are on Twitter. Because I've done West Coast before, and people were like, old news.
We saw it. We tweeted it.
Yeah. Well, Jax, how can people find you?
At Jacqueline C. Tweets on Twitter and Jacqueline Collier on Instagram.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. It really helps us a lot. 5 stars. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have the Patreon group, like we talked about, where you can have fun watch-alongs like with people like Anna, and our merch store. So check that all out, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.